Their mission was to provoke a violent confrontation.
Well, I presume it's when that guy gets that microphone within an inch of your face and is screaming obscenities in your face. He was hoping you'd knee-jerk react, slap it out of his hand, do something crazy.
Whose house is this? Whose house is this? You chicken meatball-headed motherfucker. Whose house is this? Whose house is this?
Well, either that or have the law enforcement that were present try to physically remove them from the room. I mean, he repeatedly said over and over and over again, drag me out, drag me out.
It'll go on the news.
450 pounds.
Yeah, kick me out. It'll be on every fucking news organization in the country. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. I'm done with it. Get your good glamour shots there, motherfucker.
That was obviously their goal. I mean, they're stupid enough to tell you what their objective was.
You want to drag me out, then drag me out. I'm not moving.
When do we want it?
We're 450 pounds, motherfucker. I hope y'all are strong. Drag me out. Have fun explaining it to all the local news orgs. And then later on, I'm going to get picked up.
I know you get to speak your mind, but a megaphone 2 inches from another man's face screaming obscenities? When did we get to a point the state troopers get you out of there?
Well, you actually don't get to speak your mind. As an elected state representative, I can't just stand up at my desk on the House floor and say whatever I want, whenever I want. We have rules and procedures for who gets to speak when and under what circumstances. If those rules apply to me as an elected official who actually gets to vote on the law, they certainly apply to everyone else. We have very strict rules regarding the conduct of people who come to visit us in the people's house. This idea that it's a public place, it's the house of the people, therefore I can just do whatever I want, is categorically wrong. It is a crime under Minnesota Statute 3.151 to disrupt the legislature.
Then let me ask you this. Why did nothing happen? Why did they not finally escort this huge man out of the house and say, you know, thank you, you got your message across, get out of here? Why did that not happen?
It did happen. It happened after the cameras were off and after we evacuated the room.
But then they kind of win. That person now says, hey, we do this another. Okay, tell me how. Because they
don't win. They don't win at all, because their stated objective was to provoke a violent confrontation. They wanted the video image to put on television outlets across the nation of police swarming this 450-pound assailant. That's what they wanted. And they didn't get that. They also wanted to stop the GOP. We came back to work within 30 minutes, concluded our hearing, did everything we set out to do. They failed on both fronts. This was a total failure on their part. And then I turned around and exposed the fact that they did this, who sent them, the fact that it was instigated by one of the absent Democrat House members, Lee Finke. And by the way, within hours of this occurring, Representative Lucy Ream, another Democrat, turned around and incited another gathering that's scheduled for January 27th. So this might just be part one of two.
But because 14 million people shared this bad boy on X, Jesse Waters put it out there.
Yeah, and listen, I mean, I don't want to pat myself on the back for doing the obvious, but I knew right away, as soon as this started, I knew how important it was to whip out my phone and start recording. And indeed, we would not have gotten the full up-close image of the vile behavior that was taking place in that committee hearing if I had not done that. And it's interesting to me, like the news cycle on this. So that night, Tuesday night, this is obviously a newsworthy story, right? Like you can't make the argument that it's not newsworthy.
No.
So the night that it happens, Alpha News grabs hold of it. They immediately do a piece. They link to the video. Everybody can see what happened. And it's just the facts, man. Here's what happened, right? In the context. The next day, I started to get media inquiries. Minnesota Reformer did a piece, WCCO did a spot, and then there was the Jesse Waters thing. In the case of the Reformer and CCO, the local outlets, their pieces were very much couched in he said, she said. Well, here's what the Representative Hudson thinks about what happened to him last night. Here's what Melissa Hortman has to say about what happened. So it's this game of trying to portray, trying to go down the middle and get perspectives from both sides. It's like, no, just report the facts of what happened. A Democrat sent a mob an absent Democrat who's not showing up to work, sent a mob into a committee hearing where, by the way, that Representative Lee Finke was supposed to be.
And address the elephant in the room. And I do mean literally, because it's only the elephants that are in the room. And we've discovered over the course of the past 24 hours, which was the last time we were here in this room holding this committee for public safety, that one of the members of the absentee caucus that would be sitting in this room with us if they decided to come to work participated in instigating the incident that many of us were here to witness yesterday. An incident where I was sitting in that chair over there, not but 2-3 feet away from folks who were escalating. One of whom was holding a bullhorn, and by the way, I saw the moment that the hand went into the purse. I'm sure I wasn't the only one who had eyes on. We do have a room full of law enforcement professionals. And that moment of what is coming out of that purse, that applies to this situation right here. Being in the midst of aggression and escalation and the uncertainty of what somebody who's 2 feet away from you yelling in your face is about to do, that is directly applicable to what we're talking about here. Ultimately, the way that situation was resolved, which resulted in the total failure of the assailants themselves and their stated objectives of provoking a violent confrontation and or halting us from being able to conduct our business, is we all had to leave. We had to clear the room. We had to retreat in order for law enforcement to be able to do their job and clear the room and get us back into business, which we did, and we completed our business. The irony of the fact that this very circumstance took place here yesterday and that it was instigated by somebody who should be in this room.
The audacity of this, of you don't show up to work, but you send your friends, your goons, to come into our hearing room and threaten us? And it is a threat. A 450-pound person hovering over you with a bullhorn is a threatening posture.
With the language you're after, there's no way that's not. A little sad that 66 of your compadres are not at work, and not a one of them is enough time to declare this a terrible thing, to come out and speak against it. I'd find that remarkable as well.
Well, Melissa Hortman put out some boilerplate condemnation and couched it in very soft language about this just isn't really an effective way to make sure you're heard
that's
by
what I mean.
legislators. Which, come on, no, this is an attack upon your colleagues that one of your own caucus instigated.
Yeah, no,
I would
that's
expect much stronger language than that.